Hey guys, GWS here. Um, Here to talk about the Nazi left wing take two. And when I say this, I'm talking literally. Because, see, we got into this with the David Pakman Reddit, but this rabbit hole goes way deeper than this. And I'm going to start doing a series of videos on this, using it as a series, just to let people know just how bad it's gotten. Now, of course, there's always been a rift between left and right wingers on Israel. Like, but it used to be from the framework of like Israel is good versus Israel is bad. But what we've never really seen is that much approval with Palestinians. And we're going to look at the data and see what this says. Republicans and Democrats grow ever further apart in values of Israel Palestinians. And Netanyahu remains a deeply polarizing figure in the U.S. So this is from Pew, so very reliable source here. Um, and let's just go through these other graphs. There's going to be one that I want to put big focus on, but we'll go through these others. Partisan divide in Middle East sympathies now wider than at any point in the past 4 decades. So first of all, this shows the historical. This shows, well, this is the total disparity between the sympathies of who people are siding with, Israel or the Palestinians. Um, and somehow in the late 80s, early 90s, the divide kind of softened, but that was kind of with both parties. See, this is with Republicans and Democrats. See, they were equal up until about 2008 ish, when all of a sudden you get this divide. And that didn't really change much with Democrats, but Republicans started siding more and more with Israel. Um, which is kind of strange. And then as you see, like, ever since Trump, it's actually, I don't know if this created or exposed the problem with the left wing, but for whatever reason, the left wing support of Israel dips. And you're going to see why this is important in just a second. Um, and so here's Democrats. Well, here's Republicans and Democrats. Now, Republicans, of course, gradually have increased their support of Israel. But look at Democrats. This is interesting and this is dangerous and it's telling. So now you basically have the same support of Israel and Palestine with Democrats. Pretty much the exact same. And that is telling. Because see, this is what we're dealing with here. And this is the disparity. And I can explain half of this away through the new leftist paradigm of opposing power, but this is also a big problem because what they're developing is what we did not have before, is a false equivalence between Israel and Palestine. Now, Israel's not perfect. Israel far too often uses radical means when a far more calculated approach could be used. They are often too aggressive in security, and I don't think that they address the problems with pinpoint accuracy. You can understand their position, but um, here's the thing: like, Israel's not perfect, neither is the U.S., neither is Europe. But let's compare Israel. Like, Israel, for all intents and purposes, is a an egalitarian society. There are lots of Arabs in the government who are living comfortably in Israel as we speak. Now, granted, there are specific Jewish provisions in Israel. It's a state designed for the Jews, but this isn't particularly against Arabs. This is mostly pro-Jew, but Arabs do represent their demographic in the government. I believe it's like 20% of the Israeli parliament is Arab, which is amazing. Men and women have equal rights. You have religious freedoms. You have freedom of speech, and they have all the rights of any Western democratic country. Compare that to Palestine with Hamas, um, and compare it to Lebanon, and it's just like, if you're non-religious, if you're gay, if you don't follow Sharia law and all the medieval stuff that goes with it, guess what happens to you? The best you can hope for is you go to jail. That's the best outcome. You go to jail. The worst outcome is you just get flat executed, ISIS style. So this is what we're dealing with, okay? Now, this is the false equivalence we're dealing with. We're dealing with a medieval society that calls for the destruction of Israel in their fundamental documents, and the Palestinians, versus a highly flawed country that is right up there with any European nation in terms of actual society and development and everything. So this is what we're dealing with. But see, it gets further than this. Like Democrats, it's bad enough that it's equal. 27 sympathize with Israel more. 25% sympathize with Palestine more. It's like, okay, but take a look at this one. Here's conservative and moderate liberal Democrats. Now, as you see, um, both of these groups, like the liberal Republicans, they don't support Israel as much, but their support is also increasing, which goes with kind of the Republican trend. And here's moderate conservative Democrats. Their support's gone down, but look at the liberal Democrats. This is Bernie country we're talking about here. This is the Bernie side right here. 35% sympathize with a medieval society that persecutes women, um, has an atrocious record of human rights, and all the stuff that we mentioned before, compared to 19% for Israel. And just to see how much this has declined, it's worrying. This is what I'm talking about when I say the Nazi left wing. It's extreme, but it is supported by the data. This is the scare. This is what the left wing has to deal with. This is what the more moderate Democrats, i.e., those that are only far left but not batshit crazy socialists, excuse my French. This is what they got to rein in. And see, this stuff right here is why, like, I can talk to a moderate Democrat, I can talk to a classical liberal, and I can disagree with them on a ton of stuff. But I can go on Sargon's channel and I can look through their comments and I can have a very civil debate with people about guns or healthcare because, like, whether they're to the left of me or to the right of me, there's room, there's a realm of acceptability there. There's a window of rational discussion that you can have with non extreme views. When you're talking about these extreme views of the left wing, um, this this is what we're like. How do you rationalize with a group of people that has a double digit approval compared to Israel of Palestinians? How do you rationalize? It's even a plurality. Like, I could understand if you say, okay, both are bad. That's a rational position. And honestly, that's the front I'll get from a lot of people. You know, like this gray line represents both. Um, both slash neither. But a plurality of the liberal left have sympathy for Palestinians. I can't emphasize that enough. That's a double digit plurality, too. Like, what's this? This is 19. What would that be? Like 20, 21 or 22 at most? So this is supported by the data. Now, this is what I haven't really looked at. This is wide religious differences. I'm more concerned with this. Okay, this isn't by party. I'd like to see more by party and religious affiliation because a lot of this I feel like is coming with the the left wing on the liberals, like white left wingers, basically. Nearly as many say Trump is striking the right balance. Okay, there's Netanyahu. I don't know. There's not a lot else here. So here's the problem: is like, I'm talking the classical liberals here because let's just face it, the Bernie camp, they're just not rational right now. Um, those who believe in like more social programs and want to go further left than Obama, that's not the rational group right now. This is the child group that does not understand a false equivalence when they see it. Like this, you can't reason with this. You cannot reason with it. It's the same thing as trying to reason with a white supremacist, a flat earther. You cannot reason with this. There is no way to reason with a double digit difference like that. There's just, like, what are you going to say to them? Like, what are you going to say to an extremist like that to explain to them the difference between Palestinian society and Israeli society? What are you going to say to that? There's nothing. It's like trying to talk a Nazi out of not being a Nazi, basically. And so here it is, the extreme left wing. This is going to be episode 2, and we're going to continue on with the series with more data, with more analysis, um, with more logs, polls, undercover stuff as I see fit, because this is the new thing that needs to be exposed. And we better get on board with this because our nation's in trouble if we go in that direction. Our nation's in big trouble because once you get these socialist Nazi puppets, there's no There's no stopping the ball from rolling. You give them 1 ounce of power, there's just nothing you can do. So, anyhow, that's my video. I might be back with one later this evening or tomorrow. Thanks for listening, guys, and God bless.